Hello, everyone. I think I'm working.
Put your
this is the
headphones
bit
on.
where you put your headphones on.
Cool.
So do you get to really hear me, like breathing? Sorry, that's a little bit freaky, that, isn't it? Hello, everyone. I'm Stephanie Hirst, broadcaster, TV presenter, do a bit of telly, keynote public speaker. I've got a brand called Believe Achieve, which I created alongside my broadcast career to help educate those who want to learn more about LGBTQ plus issues and I guess motivate people to reach their potential in life, because I genuinely believe that anything in life is achievable. My public speaking, Believe Achieve, basically takes me from grassroots little companies to big corporate boardrooms, which is incredible. And then I work on Hits Radio for Bauer. So it's great seeing loads of tech like this, because I'm all over headphones and microphones and mixing desks and stuff like that. With me today on the stage, we have the amazing John Whaite. Woo! Cook, author and TV presenter who, of course, shot to fame by winning the Great British Bake Off, aged just 23.
I know, I was a whippet.
Little
tiny whippet.
And of course, with his dancing partner, Johannes Radby, made the final of Strictly Come Dancing in 2021.
That too feels like a lifetime ago.
Does it?
Yeah.
Gosh.
So much has happened, but so little has happened. We'll get on to that.
Yeah.
John's an active member and campaigner for the LGBTQ plus community and issues relating to equality. Also, please welcome the amazing Riyadh Khalaf. Who's best known for his successful YouTube channel where he regularly details his experiences with sexuality. You may have seen him win Celebrity... I've got two chefs. This is amazing. Winning Celebrity Master Chef. What was your chosen subjects on Celebrity Mastermind?
My specialist subject was the film Titanic.
Really?
I am such a super fan.
Jack!
Yeah, literally.
Jack!
And he could have fitted on that door,
He
right?
could have done.
So, I mean, I did quite well. Didn't win, but...
But that experience of sitting there in the chair.
Terrifying.
It must be.
Yeah, like a spotlight, and you don't... And when they do, like, the general knowledge one, you just feel thick. So thick.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. You'll have seen him on Morning Live and on The One Show as well. But last, but by no means least, the amazing Jackie Adedeji. Broadcaster, writer, podcaster who writes about pop culture, society and body image as well. This year sees the launch of a documentary for Channel 4's Untold series, My Big Boobs.
Yes.
When is it on?
It comes out on the 29th of May. Yeah, so very
So
soon.
not long. So did you film all this last year? 'Cause obviously
This year.
This year?
Yeah, my mum and dad are on it as well, so...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And where the idea obviously comes from your personal
Well,
experience.
they're hidden today, but I've got big boobs.
Gosh, and the pain that those cause as well, and backache and everything.
totally.
I've had friends who have had breast reductions as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's also just exploring the way that breast reduction is seen as something cosmetic rather than medical.
Yeah,
and actually
medical.
how so many women are like, I don't want this, but then they feel like society's like, you should love it. Your husband loves it. And they're like, no, I don't. So it's, I love doing it.
And this obviously explores women, going through the physical and psychological impacts of living with big breasts as well. So it's on Channel 4, 29th of May.
Yes.
Get
Bank
your
holiday.
tellies recording. So how inclusive, our question this afternoon is, how inclusive is TV in 2023? On screen, I guess it's fair to say that we've come a long way. Is anyone of a particular vintage here that remembers Brookside in 1994? Hands up. Anybody? Of a particular vintage. The Lesbian Kiss, which was massively groundbreaking. It was in now it would have been trending. It was absolutely everywhere. And then, of course, we had Channel 4's late 80s, 90s, I guess predominantly black sitcom Desmond's, which was on Channel 4, which was fantastic. Or have we come a long way since then? I guess recently we saw the glamorous TV series Riches on ITV, which was a whole black cast, and that aired last year. But surely the industry should be striving for equitable balance, both racially, culturally, and regardless of religion, sexual orientation, gender, mental ability, or age, and not just across the schedule, but I guess right the way through programming. So we'll get into our Q&A right now. And I guess one of the first questions is, what barriers have our panel come up against when looking for work, and how have they kind of overcome it? For you, Riyadh, how did you feel there was any barriers?
Yeah, well, it's kind of ironic. I feel like I got into media or had a dream of getting into media kind of because I was othered and bullied and made feel weird and sick as a kid in school.
Really?
So because I was sort of silenced there and made sort of edit and contort myself into something that was acceptable and palatable to that population in school, it meant that I had this really like burning urge to feel loved, accepted, celebrated, and to have a voice.
So
And
much
the
so
best
you
place for that was to be a telly presenter.
But you started your own pirate radio station
yeah.
when you were like 16 or something.
So like school, bullied, come home, and I set up this pirate radio station in my bedroom. Dad was amazing helping me with this illegal endeavor, and he like went on the chimney and attached this antenna to the roof, which
Really?
is still there now.
Amazing.
And I broadcast, and it was this like outlet. I had this character DJ RK, and I'd do my little show, and then I did YouTube, and it was really therapeutic, really cathartic. I was able to sort of find myself and craft who I wanted to be in that safe environment. But then, as my career went on, I moved into commercial radio in Ireland, and I was like, yes, made it. And I remember I was hosting a show as a sort of a cover presenter for a long period, and at a station party, our CEO came up to me, so like, gatekeeper of all dreams kind of person, and he's like, you're doing a great job, show sounds great, but if you could just do one thing, that'd be brilliant. If you could just sound less gay, that'd be great. And I was like, fuck, like...
He actually said those words?
Yeah, and it was like, it brought straight back to the feeling of being in that school playground, being told that what you are is not what we want.
Yeah.
And it was the beginning of a big change for me, where I decided Ireland is my home, radio and media is my love in life, but I can't do it here anymore. And that was sort of how I began to see the UK as where I needed to be. And moving here, although I'll always love Ireland.
Well, you had
very
Ardmore
proud.
Studios not far from where you lived, didn't you?
Say it again?
Did you have Ardmore Studios not far from where
Ardmore,
you...
yeah, famous film studios
Yeah.
And loads of local radio and all that. But yeah, moving here 8 years ago was the best decision I ever made in terms of opportunity for me as me. Yeah.
Because you have to be your true, authentic self, don't you? Because if you're not being true to yourself, it's all well and good to start with, but then that starts to eat away at you at your every waking moment.
And your performance is shite.
Yeah, it is.
Like if you're not, in what we do, our product is us, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the more you are, the more relatable you are, the better the content is, the better the documentary, whatever it is.
Do you find any barriers when you were first starting out, or still to this very day find barriers?
Yeah, definitely. So, kind of similar to Riyadh, for me, growing up, I was watching Embarrassing Bodies, You Are What You Eat. I've always been obsessed with taboo topics, things you shouldn't really say. And that's probably rooted in the fact that my dad's a vicar. So,
Right.
yeah, I was like quite naughty. I'm like, but always asking questions. And so, I'd watch shows like that and I'd be like, oh, I'd love to do something like that. But then I would never see anyone that looks like me doing it. So I sort of made a mission to be that person for like the younger version of me, and also lots of other young black women who want to do something different, because sometimes it can feel like as black people that you get put into a box. You're either entertainment or you're sport, and you're nothing in between.
Yeah.
And I think luckily in my career I've been able to sort of, be this voice around body positivity, but I think there still is sometimes this feeling that people don't really know where to place you or what to do with you.
Yeah.
And because I'm someone that's like, I think black culture is a big part of youth culture, and I am very much, I love youth culture and stuff like that, but that's not the only thing I'm passionate about. So sometimes, I have been made to feel like, can you do more like entertainment-y stuff, or can you do more like skits? And I'm like, that's not really my thing. And it's like, I think sometimes there's an idea of how, as a black person, you're supposed to be, and that can be really, have reached this point in my life where I just don't care anymore. Every black person is different, and we're not a monolith. So there might be lots of black people that like a certain kind of music, and there's lots of other black people that like ABBA. I freaking love ABBA.
Oh my God.
Get me on an
Yes.
ABBA show.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then if you say that to people, they sometimes be like, "Oh, like don't really," because they don't see someone like who looks like you.
What is the industry's obsession with putting us all in boxes?
Yeah.
They like to
Yeah, it's safe. It's safe. It's like, oh, we've seen people who look like you
every single
do
one
that
of us.
certain thing, so you just stay there because it almost feels uncomfortable because what if it doesn't work if we put you somewhere else? And I'm definitely someone that's like, no, take that risk on me. Like, there are loads of people who are similar to me that like are dying to feel seen. They want to see someone like them, but if you don't put us on there, people will just give up because they're like, oh, I don't see myself represented.
Yeah.
So I always try and in my work push myself to always be that person for others.
Well, Bake Off was a big breakthrough for you, wasn't it? Breakthrough.
The breakthrough.
Sorry.
The breakthrough was.
Big breakthrough. That's
really good,
But
actually.
I think what both of you guys have said really resonates with me because I found that I was trying to tempt on Bake Off when I was filming it. So I was 23, I was just still in university, and I was trying to temper who I was. Like on the first phone call to the producers of Bake Off, I said, yeah, I've got a boyfriend, but I don't really want to talk about him. I actually said, oh, he's not that big a deal. I played the importance of our relationship down when actually that relationship is still going on today. You know, it's a 15-year-long relationship, and it's one of the most healing things I've ever had in my life, the most consistent things I've had in my life. But because I was so afraid of public perception, which I had to do from a young age, like you as well, I assume, I had to kind of mute who I was to benefit other people. I had to be a version of myself that was palatable to other people. I therefore wanted to mute myself on Bake Off. And really, when I came out on Bake Off, it was Biscuit Week. I was making a Colosseum out of gingerbread, as you do. And I said, my boyfriend is a designer, and he designed this template. And we watched it in our little flat in Manchester with our 12 couches, because we used to buy couches from second-hand shops. It was just our passion. I digress.
I'm like it with cushions.
Well, you know, most university students spent the money on vodka and condoms. I bought couches. Couches and ground almonds. But we were watching it on our many couches, couch hopping. And
There's a telly show in that.
yeah, and we went through Twitter, and the outpouring of love was, the majority of it was love.
But it's just saying that word. Oh, my boyfriend helped me design this. Just saying that word. How did that make you feel?
Oh, gosh. When I said it on screen, because it was pre-recorded, when I was being filmed and said it, I kind of, I shit myself. You know, I really did. For months after, I panicked about what the ramifications of that would be, because it's such a huge thing to admit. You know, I'd only really got to terms with it myself fully around that stage. So that was the big next step. And then after Bake Off, and I was kind of in the public eye then, I had a meeting with agents, and a lot of them, and my agent who I was with for 10 years, who I adore, he said, I'm just struggling as to where to put you. And is it not enough that I won Bake Off? Is it not enough that I have a law degree? Is it not enough that I can speak and have an opinion? That is what it is to be human. Is that not enough?
Yeah, that is what you hear a lot from agents. We just don't know where to put you. Don't know where that work's not coming right now. You're not fitting the mood right now. The channel's looking for different things. And you can't, and you put the phone down, you sit there, you feel like you've had your whole world pulled from beneath you, don't you?
You put the phone down and you want a cigarette and a glass of whiskey. Because it's just like, because it makes you question who you are.
It's so personal.
It's at a very deep, personal core level.
Yeah.
It starts to pull apart all the years of experience you've had in building this notion of who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's insidious because it's so slow and gentle and manipulative.
I think that if you're someone who has some form of diversity in them, or many forms of diversity in them, you kind of have to become a Jack or Jacqueline of all trades, a chameleon of sorts. And there's pros and cons to that. I think for me, the con is I still don't really know who I fully am as a person, but also as a broadcaster. I love doing docs, I love doing ents, I love doing that. And I've always got this push and pull between who am I? What is my offering? And what I've done in the last couple of years with that is try to see the chameleonness as a positive.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to do this film about mental health on the one show that the mums will engage with and like, or you want me to do something like zingy and cool and sweary with a sex brand for Instagram. It's that kind of, that is something that I wish, and I think it's happening slowly, commissioners, channel controllers are starting to see as if we invest in this individual, they could do anything.
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
You know?
I mean, we've spoken, we had a call the other day and we were talking about all sorts of stuff. But I felt that I transitioned, I changed my gender about a decade ago. And I was working in the radio industry for years. I had the biggest commercial radio show outside London, the biggest breakfast show, did the national chart show, and all of that was stopping me from being who I am today. All of a sudden I transition, and then zero radio work, because the industry went, wow, amazing, we're not giving you a job. To that extent,
Yeah.
it wasn't that much of a rejection, but it was a very much, we don't know what to do with you now.
But
What are you?
Do you not find that's worse? Because if it were an explicit, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah, there was none of that.
You'd have
It just
that,
didn't
not
ring the
closure,
phone.
you'd know. But when it's kind of like a bit hit and miss,
Yeah.
and a bit here, a bit not, it's like, well, what's
But
going
as
on?
Riyadh was just saying, it's like they don't know where to put you. And
Yeah.
what I found was the phone only rang when it was either Good Morning Britain or Radio 4 or whatever wanted me to go on TV and debate my existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where, oh, we want you to do. I had a pitch came in a few weeks ago, wanted me to do a documentary about gender in other countries, but I'm like, no, it's just stop. I'm more than that.
Yeah, I think it's you end up becoming an activist.
Yeah, you do.
And even though like you're like, I think you get to choose what your activism is
Yeah.
as an individual, but then you become this.
Wow.
People are looking at you and they're like, you're the voice for all these people, and you're like, whoa, like I am a voice, but I'm also like advocating for myself
Yeah.
here. Like
I know.
everybody's got different experiences, and then you then become this spokesperson, but you didn't actually enter the industry to become a spokesperson.
That's so funny you
Yeah.
say that. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
absolutely
use the term
right.
accidental activist.
Yeah,
And I
right.
started to stop using the activist word because,
Yeah.
like, if a real activist is somebody who's out there getting
Yes.
arrested, putting their life on
Reclaiming
the
the
line.
streets.
I'm not doing that. I'm an advocate because of my lived experience,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
are we all. But like you said, we are more than that. Like, I fucking love aviation. I'm out at Heathrow plane spotting like a total geek.
Have you got the app on your phone where you can play
Oh
watch?
yeah, Flight Radar 24,
Radar.
download it now. But like, this is sort of like one of the many little hidden parts of me that isn't necessarily super brandable and super bookable, but I put a lot into that, and all of my pitches now are like aviation,
Yeah,
nature,
yeah.
and then there might be a little gay one there, a little, you know, queer thing there, but it's about trying to, I think, leverage the lived experience you have to make programming in your area, be it about being trans or black or gay or whatever, but only to the point at which you don't get pigeonholed.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
kind of line that you're constantly like, this is an amazing gig,
Yeah.
primetime show, BBC Two, but am I further down that wormhole of being the gay guy on TV?
Yeah.
How can I be?
Jackie, as you were saying, you want to see when you were growing up, you want to see someone else like you on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
How do we break that wall down now? Because the only way people like us have got to be on TV doing our jobs,
Yeah.
doing what we do, but not just about our lived experience. Could be about absolutely anything. And someone, the younger version of you, could be at home watching this going, if she can do it, I can do it.
Totally. Yeah, I think, for example, like the show for ITV Riches, it's the problem is sometimes I find is that there'll be a series or a show that is aimed for black people, and then it won't get commissioned again. And then also, there's also this weird idea that like black people only want to watch all black people on TV, which is not true.
Yeah.
We actually like to watch everything everyone else wants to watch. But what we're really asking for is like, put some black people in the show. Just like, that's it, nothing else. Like, there doesn't have to be, just like, make us human. That's really what it's really, we're not really asking for much, but it feels like there's so many like grand, you know, ways of, they think that doing these grand gestures, like, okay, well, we've commissioned this series. Aren't you happy? It's like, not really, because yes, it's great that loads of black writers are coming to the forefront, but actually, what happens after this?
Yeah.
Like, are the people being paid fairly? Like, that's something that I think is really, really difficult. And I think it's more just, like, no one wants to have these uncomfortable conversations about what people who are marginalised, what we really want.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear it, because I do think that it will shake things and people are scared of change.
And I think, you know, channels will have their 4 or 5 favourite presenters,
Yes.
and that's your lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's certain channels that just use the same people.
Yeah.
They've got to start thinking outside the box a little bit
Yeah.
to inspire that next generation through.
Yeah, and it's also hard as well, because I've noticed this, is that when someone who's a person of colour gets a job, the comments are always like, box tick, box tick, box tick, quota, quota, quota. So now, like, there's an extreme end where if someone is hired on the fact that they are very good, but they happen to marginalise, the comments are always like, box ticking exercise, woke culture. It's like, you literally can't win. You can't win because, like, oh, you've not been hired because you're good. It's just, oh, it's because you're black.
But there's also this sort of super duper pressure on you then as a producer, presenter, whatever, to really smash it, because it's like, well, if I don't, then I'm really proving myself, just as this reductive idea as a box ticking exercise. But if you smash it and you really bring it, you're like, see? So there's a lot of that.
And that pressure that you talk about as well, that's not just on us as presenters and the creatives, it's also on the commissioners, because when I was on Strictly, it was me and Johannes, and we were two fairly, we weren't overtly camp. We were just kind of two blokes dancing together, and it was about the dance. And that was, I guess, palatable for the nation. People liked it. We got to the final. But the next year, you have Richie Anderson and Giovanni Panici, and Richie is this beautifully effervescent and camp guy, and because he is more overtly homosexual, more overtly queer, I think some commentators said it was unpalatable. So there was one article in the Telegraph, I think it was Alison Pearson, and she said that
drag her
down. But she used me and Johannes as a comparator for Richie and Giovanni. She didn't see the fact that we were just two separate couples, two separate entities. There had to be a benchmark, and that benchmark was palatability. If it looked okay, if it wasn't too uncomfortable to watch, then we'll accept you. And it was proven in the sense that she wrote the same about Ellie Simmons, comparing her to Rose Ayling-Ellis the year before. Rose is deaf, so she was kind of, if you're ticking boxes, it's the disabled category, if you want to speak about it so reductively. And so she compared Rose's disability to Ellie Simmons' disability, which is far more visual. And she kind of made it. I'm reading between the lines, and I'm not quoting it because I don't want to get sued. But how I interpreted it, it was exactly that. If it was visually appealing, if it was comfortable viewing, we'll accept it. But the moment it's camp, sparkly, and you're shorter than everybody else, it's a bit uncomfortable. And so the commissioners struggle with that.
It's the visible thing, isn't it? Because I think commissioners want to see people that are maybe overtly camp going, look, we've got someone who is if they would say obviously gay. But I've got friends who are gay and not overtly camp in any way, shape or form. They go, there's no one like me on television. There's no one. So, and I had a situation, I won't say what show it was, but I was on a show and offered more and never got anything else. And a few of my friends said to me, it's because, and these are their words. They said, because it's not obvious. You're not sick. It's not obvious that you transition.
I get you. I think there's a conversation to be had about what's the purpose, really, if we pair back, of diversity in telly. Is it so that, people viewing who associate with that individual on the screen can feel seen, can feel inspired? Yes, I think that's a part of it. But I think maybe more than that, it should be about what has this person's lived experience given them that they can bring to this program and to this audience that is different to their counterparts who are already booked and blessed. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm half Iraqi, but I'm pale as fuck. And so I don't look like I'm mixed in any shape or form. But because I am, I used to go to the mosque with my dad. I used to be called Paki. Sorry, I think I'm allowed to say that because
it's lived experience.
Trigger warning. You're not meant to do that after, are you? I promise I'm professional. But all of these things that I've been through with my culture on my dad's side and my Irishness on my mom's side means that I come to every interview I do and every piece of camera I do and every script I write from that point of view. And it doesn't have to be, he's mixed. It can just be. And I think that that's a more pure example of booking diversity because, you want the program to benefit from
Well,
it,
of
not
course, yeah,
because
yeah.
you want the channel controller to go, hey, Commissioner, well done, look, they're definitely black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they might be, great. They might not be, but
It's
Yeah.
exhausting.
it has to be pure.
Has
I
to
think
be,
pure
yeah.
is the word I would use.
And now I want to take us on to mental health. By the way, if you've got the Silo app, you can ask any questions, anything you want to ask us or anything like that. What we've got about 10 minutes or something like that, 30 minutes left. So you can ask us any questions. I've got the Silo app open here, so please do anything and I'll field it to our amazing panel this afternoon. But let's just talk about mental health very quickly. And I know we were chatting backstage about Twitter and what it's become these days, and you took yourself off it when you were doing Strictly.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I just knew that Twitter used to be just a really, really proactive, really engaging forum. It was a place of ideas, of bouncing off different, notions and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, it became vitriolic, didn't it? It just became really, really aggressive. So I knew that when I went on Strictly, I had to just come off it. Also, there were a few dodgy pictures of me that I didn't want circulating, because I'm sexually open as well. You have to be.
Yeah.
That's part of who I am as a gay
Yeah.
man. As you said before, I'm not a monolithic entity.
Yeah.
I'm a multifaceted piece of, sequin shirt. So I wanted to come off Twitter because I knew that there would be so much commentary and so much negativity. And, being someone who struggles with the need of self-validation, as many of us do, I think, in the industry, we have, a lot of us do have a hole that we need to fill with validation, as well as being beautifully creative. We also are show-offs. And so I knew that I would put myself in the firing line of that.
But
So
do you
I came
think there
off
should
it.
be more duty of care with channels
I
when
do.
it comes to talent?
Completely.
And especially maybe with reality, if their way into the industry is through reality.
Yeah, especially so with reality. I think, I really think that production companies who make millions of pounds of profit off contributors should be obliged to sign up to some sort of independent welfare body that they subscribe to, they pay for it, they have to do it, there's no questions asked. And then as part of the contributor's contract, they have to have full psychological assessments.
Yeah.
I had that for Bake Off, but it was sat in a room with a jolly-faced lady, and she chatted to me about if I was ever depressed, and I lied. I said, no, I wasn't. Whereas I was depressed. I got away with it. There should be much more thorough psychological assessments, and you should be obliged then to complete more psychological therapy after the event. It should be part of the contract, and production companies, commissioners, whatever, should be forced to pay for that.
Yeah.
Because they make so much money off these people, and they treat them often, not always. I've worked with some amazing, production companies, and Channel 4 are really looking after me for Steph's Packed Lunch and Food Unwrapped. I have to say that.
Right.
But early on, when I was a whippersnapper, I needed help.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with money. I made 6 figures off my first book after Bake Off. I was 24. I didn't know what. I started drinking excessively. I didn't know what to do with that because I had never had the guidance. And had I had the guidance, I think I wouldn't have had such a disruptive wobble in between Bake Off and Strictly that nearly ended my career. And I'm not. It's not about blaming, but it's about saying
If
you
you'd
have a
had the right
responsibility
help,
because you make money off me as a human being. You make money, and it's not pointing the finger at a single person. It's a corporation.
Yeah.
And when you have that veil of separation with the corporation, you have to make sure that your duty of care is completely thorough and completely proactive. Otherwise, it's exploitation, I think.
Jackie, I know you've got the programme coming up on Channel 4. What's that process been like? It's not transmitted yet, but that process of duty of care, have they spoken to you about?
No, but I do have a really good relationship with the commissioner, and I feel like if I did feel, but I think I've been mentally preparing myself because my parents are on there, and it's also going on Channel 4's YouTube channel as well as on the TV. So I'm kind of preparing myself for the thing, and obviously my body's out there, other women's bodies out there, like everything is there. But I think. Yeah, I feel like I'm in good hands, but I guess I won't know really how I truly feel until it comes out. And of course, like I've only seen the rough cut, so to be honest, the way it might look when it comes out might be different. But I mean, I'm trusting that it will be fine because I've got a good relationship with everybody. But I'm mentally preparing myself. I don't know. But I think how I'm going to feel. But
that's not unique in anything that we do. We have to mentally prepare. If we're doing something which is front-facing, you have to mentally prepare yourself with everything, don't you?
Yeah, totally.
With what it could give you, what when I do Jeremy Vine's show on Channel 5, and if I'm with someone else who's on that panel, and because a tweet has gone out from the channel, from the show, and someone else has said something, and I end up getting in with everyone else,
Dragged
and
into
you
it.
see, oh my God, look at all of this stuff that's kicking off. And obviously I have nothing to do with it because I've not said anything, but that's a show that's all about debate, and for good reason. But it's sometimes it can be a very, Twitter is, just shut it down.
I've left Twitter because I was like, I just find it so...
Shut it down. I tried to log out, and I can't find that. I'm not a numpty, but I can't find the log out button.
I'll help you.
Help me, yeah.
You have to burn your phone to get rid of Twitter. You have to burn your phone and then send it to space. That's the only way to get rid of it. And then it wakes you up in the middle of the night.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I guess it's easy to be easily flattered to be offered any job in the industry these days. But is that sensible? How do you know when an opportunity is right for you?
I think I'm like, I love work. And when you're freelance, there is that kind of, yes, I'll do it. Because, when the sun is shining, you make hay.
Yeah.
And sometimes it might not be the right gig for you for a number of reasons. You might not, again, I always go back to lived experience. If it's a doc and it's quite serious, it might actually be someone else who will do better by that story.
Yeah.
So there have been a couple of, not shows, but appearances on shows that I've turned down. In particular, this isn't me going, aren't I great? But I tried to get my friends in the industry to also do this little filter before they take a gig. It was a show about trans people, and they wanted me to talk about that because the books and stuff that I've done. And it's like, yeah, I'm in the community. I've got trans friends. I understand the ins and outs, but I haven't lived it.
Yeah.
And so I wrote down a few names, 3-4 names, and I said, contact them. They've gone through it. They're not household names, but they could be. And they know their shit. They're eloquent.
They grew some tits in public.
And so I think saying no is just, what?
They grew some tits in public.
Well, yeah. See, you can say that, but I can't. See? So I
just turned it all on its head.
No, it's great. I love it.
Took the mick out.
Hey, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. It's all about just going for it. So I think, it's as much about saying no as it is about saying yes. And also thinking about, I think it's sort of linked to the last question about duty of care. Duty of care for ourselves as on-screen people. I get a gig, first gig I got in the UK, big 6-part series for a big broadcaster documentary, and I thought, I am the new Stacey Dooley. Move out of my way. I wasn't. I did it, and then nothing came after. Show was great, but again, it kind of fulfilled its own little purpose.
Yeah.
So I had about a year and a half of hating myself and wondering, what did I do wrong? Did I not network enough? Did I turn up late to a shoot one day? And it was none of that. It was just, I didn't understand that actually a gig is a gig is a gig.
Yeah.
They are contained a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's how you leverage that to do a thing online and a brand deal and maybe a book. And maybe a TV thing can come out of that, but you're not booked for life
No.
just for getting that one gig.
Yeah.
And you're right in what you say. You've got to do lots of other things. And I think that goes for all of us who work in this industry. We've got to do lots of different things.
Yeah, I have this, for me, I used to be obsessed with my career, it used to be my first love, but now I'm I just put the energy into the things that I can control in my life because you're always waiting, essentially. So it's I might as well put that energy into stuff that brings me joy because sometimes our career just doesn't love us back.
Yeah.
Are you in your 30s?
No,
Okay.
29.
Because I found that normally happens when you reach your 30s.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'm only 10 years old, it's great.
But that is a lovely thing about getting older. You care about the stuff that matters.
Yes.
And actually, it's so cliche to say, but I think the less you kind of put into it and care and you're bleeding and dying for your art, the more comes in.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Abundance mindset.
Abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Didn't know
Exactly.
that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Just very quickly before we wrap up, advice to your younger self. If you could go back and speak to your younger self, what advice would you give to yourself?
I think I'd just say you're on your own, kid. I really would, because, I don't think mollycoddling would have helped. And I really like who I've become because of the struggles I've faced, because of the experience because of the mistakes I've made, because of the regrets, of which there are plenty. I'm really proud of where I've where I've come to. And, to think about the little kid who was scared shitless, sleeping on his sister's bedroom floor at night, to where I am now, I'm proud of the journey. So buckle up, kids. You're in for a bumpy ride.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey. Jackie?
I would say you are who you are and celebrate who you are, because growing up I was actually made to feel like, because of things I was interested in, that I wasn't black enough, and I always used to struggle with what does it mean to be black? And it's like, black is what I am. Like there's no discussion on it. So I would say that, you are who you are your experiences, and you have so much to offer the world, and go get it. Like, don't ask for permission, just go and chase.
Believe, achieve.
Yeah. Believe, dream, achieve.
Believe, achieve. Riyadh?
I think I'd say take all the gigs still, even the pigeonholey ones, because they'll train you. You'll get some money and the contacts. But equally, don't let the weird niche passions that you have fall by the wayside because you believe they're not bankable, sellable, or mainstream.
Well, this is the thing. It's about, I think sometimes it's about do things about what you know. I'm a geek. I've got 25,000 records, singles and albums. I've got an old Vauxhall Nova which I've restored.
But that's so cool.
I love all sorts of stuff.
And you inject your natural, God-given, if you believe in God, personality into whatever that is. Even if you love plumbing, you can make that fun. You really can.
No, there's so many gags coming to mind now.
No.
U-bends, loads and loads of bad jokes.
Yeah, so just
but it is,
do it all.
but you've got to. They talk about with authors, write about what you know. Talk about what you know. And these days as well, it's not particularly the commissioners and TV channels that are in charge. There's this thing, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called YouTube. And you can just do your shit on there. And there are people, there may be 1 million people across the world who love what you do. But it's worldwide. And the commissioners are not always in charge anymore, are they?
And that's the problem with the industry, I think, is that, sometimes you're in with a commissioner, they look after you and they treat you really, really well. And then that person moves on in their career, as we all do, and then all of a sudden your lifeline is gone. It's completely gone, and the next commissioner comes in, shows how big his bollocks are, and he doesn't want to use you. And that's the brutal reality of television, of any industry, I guess. It's because that's what it is to work with people. And going back to what you said about, not letting the small geeky things fall by the wayside, completely right, because that is who you are. It's about not sacrificing who you are for anything. Be true to yourself, and the rest will fall into place. And if it doesn't, just do something else.
It's very easy to homogenize in this industry and become the safe links presenter that is booked because they can, do the presenter song as they're doing the piece to camera, and they look good and all those things. And there is a time and a place for that. But actually, the sparkle and the realness is that weird shit.
Because if that is all you are. How bloody boring.
Right?
And there's so many of them out there. And I think also one thing that I'd say to my younger self is be patient, because the world is changing and it's becoming cooler to have those interests and more normalized to be different in the diversity that lives inside you. So it might take a while. You might be in your 30s or 40s by the time they're like, oh my God, we want you. But in that meantime, you can do all the other things.
Of course. It has been a true joy to be here this afternoon. Please give up Riyadh, Jackie and John.
And you.
I'm Stephanie Hirst. I pride myself on talking to time. 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's
Bosh.
I feel like I'm doing a Peloton ride.